All right. So you just have to see how Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett just destroys the GOP lie that Texas Democrats were gutless. I mean, she points out that the only weakling here is the governor himself for pushing racist gerrymandering instead of doing his job. It's like a total masterclass in turning a Republican attack on its head by simply using the facts. Let's watch the full clip and then I'll give you my thoughts at the end.
Member of the Texas State House back in 2021. You're in the U.S. House now, but you were a state legislator, and you were part of the crew that fled the state in an attempt to block voting restrictions in Texas. What do you make of Governor Abbott's argument that that is not what Texans do? It's gutless, it's cut and run, you're fleeing like chickens, you need to show up to do your job the way most Texans do, et cetera. What's your response?
The only weakling in this equation is the governor himself. It's not Texans that elected the governor to the governor's mansion that asked him to do this. It is the criminal that is currently serving in the White House that begs for him to do this. So let me tell you something. I can guarantee you that Gene Wu's district has not called in and said that he is not representing them or their voices. In fact, it's just the opposite. And I know that my governor may not have practiced law too recently, but I would like to inform him, if he cares to know, that our Texas Constitution specifically provides for being able to break quorum. That is in our Constitution. So as far as I'm concerned, these folk that decided that they were going to break quorum are more Texan and more American than the governor and the president himself.
There is some critical items on the special session agenda: flood relief for Texas Hill Country, where more than 100 people died over the 4th of July weekend. What's your response to those Republicans who are blaming Democrats for holding up this relief by not showing up and allowing a quorum?
Yeah, so first of all, those Republicans should show up and do their job every single day. They're the ones that knew that this area had flooded before, yet there were not provisions in place. In fact, one of the representatives for that area voted against a bill that would have allowed for additional monies for infrastructure in that area. The local electeds in that area decided to reject money from the Biden-Harris campaign. I can tell you one thing about Democrats is that we show up for everybody. Once we are elected, then we understand what it is to govern, and we don't pick winners and losers based upon your political affiliation. Unfortunately, the local electeds failed those people, and unfortunately, their state electeds failed those people. But I will also say that it wasn't flood relief that they brought to the floor quickly. It was absolutely focused on bringing together a bill that would decimate people's voices, Black and brown voices, which make up a majority of the state. That is what they decided to do. They had an opportunity. They did not force forward with a bill on flood relief. Instead, what they pushed forward with was redistricting at the will of the Attorney General, who said this was about race, and Donald Trump.
The Economist magazine, looking at this gerrymandering arms race that appears to be on the brink of breaking out, in the sense that if Texas does it, the Democrats in California and other states say they're going to do it. The Economist says Democrats are likely to lose the redistricting war. If both sides abandon principle, a draw is possible, but Republicans face fewer obstacles. Is this gerrymandering arms race really worth it if Democrats still are going to end up on the losing side of the numbers? Governor Abbott said to me today that if California adds 5 Democratic seats to offset the 5 Republican seats that might come from this redistricting, he'll just add 5 more Republican seats. He said it will be 10.
Yeah, so here's my attitude. We may lose the battle, but we will absolutely win this war. That is what I'm saying. Right now, when it comes to our base, they want to see a fight. They don't want to see us just lay down and say, okay, well, the Republicans want to do whatever they want to do. They want to minimize voices. They want to systemically get rid of those Black electeds, because when I look at the numbers, and to be clear, Florida is already in this thing. We know that Texas is in this thing. We know that they're putting pressure on Indiana as well as Missouri. So here's the deal. They have already decided that the only way that they can win, because they have failed policies, is by making sure that they can cheat their way. And while they're cheating their way, the only way that they can do that is while they also at the same time violate the Constitution as well as the Voting Rights Act and make sure that it's people of color. We're talking about them going after Clyburn in South Carolina. We're talking about them going after Andre Carson in Indiana. We're talking about them going after Reverend Cleaver in Missouri. We're talking about them going after Amelia Sykes in Ohio. We're talking about them coming for 3 of the 4 Black representatives that we currently have in the state of Texas. So don't tell me this isn't about race when they are clear about who it is that will lose the most when it comes to having their say-so on the federal level. They are absolutely systemically making sure that they roll back all that was fought for, bled for, and died for as relates to those that came before us.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Democrat of Texas, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jake.
So the whole thing with Governor Abbott calling the Texas Democrats gutless and chickens for breaking quorum, it's so infuriatingly dishonest. I mean, honestly, he's acting like they just, I don't know, decided to skip work to go on vacation. But what were they actually doing? I mean, what were they really doing? They were using one of the only tools left in their toolbox, a tool literally provided for by the Texas Constitution, as Jasmine Crockett points out, to stop a bill designed to make it harder for people to vote. This wasn't some minor policy dispute. This was about fundamental voting rights. And the media framing of it, Democrats flee the state, it plays right into the Republican narrative, doesn't it? It sounds dramatic and irresponsible. But the real irresponsibility, that's coming from the party that's trying to rig the system. The GOP knows its policies are unpopular with a growing majority of Texans. The state's population growth is overwhelmingly from minority communities that tend to vote Democratic. So instead of, adapting their platform to win over new voters, they just try to make it so those new voters can't vote or so their votes don't count as much. That's the real cut and run here. They're running from a fair fight. Then there's the whole gerrymandering aspect. It's not some abstract political game. It's about deliberately silencing specific groups of people. When Abbott says he'll just add 5 more Republican seats if California Democrats retaliate, he's openly admitting it. He's not even trying to hide it. He's saying out loud that his goal is to seize power, not to ensure fair representation for the people of his state. I mean, he's treating Democratic districts like poker chips. The whole thing is just a raw power play, and he's bragging about it on national television. It's a confession, really. It's a confession. He's basically confessing that the GOP cannot win in Texas on a level playing field. And, I mean, let's be crystal clear about who they are targeting. Rep. Crockett lays it out perfectly. They are systematically going after Black and brown elected officials and the districts they represent. This isn't a coincidence. In a state where what was the number? 95% of the population growth in the last census came from people of color. The Republican drawn maps actually decreased the number of minority opportunity districts. That's not an accident. That is a targeted, racially motivated strategy to dilute the political power of non-white voters. It's a direct assault on the Voting Rights Act and everything the civil rights movement fought for. The whole Democrats are holding up flood relief line is just, it's the peak of cynical politics. The Republicans control the entire legislative process in Texas. They set the agenda for the special session. They could have passed a clean bill for flood relief at any moment, but they didn't. They chose to bundle it with their voter suppression bill, essentially holding disaster victims hostage to force their partisan agenda through. It's a disgusting tactic. They created the crisis, then blamed the Democrats for reacting to it. It's classic gaslighting. So when people ask why Democrats have to resort to tactics like breaking quorum, well, this is why. It's because the other side isn't operating in good faith. The modern Republican Party kind of sees politics as a zero-sum game. They believe that for them to win, others must lose their rights. They've abandoned any pretense of democratic principles. They will cheat, they will lie, and they will break any norm or rule that stands in the way of their power. You can't have a normal negotiation with a political party that is fundamentally opposed to the idea of a multiracial democracy. Ultimately, I think breaking quorum was an act of political courage. It was a last-ditch effort to sound the alarm. The Democrats who left Texas put their careers on the line to defend the principle that every citizen's voice should be heard and every vote should count. No, wait, it's more than that. Abbott and the GOP can call them names all they want, but history will remember who stood for democracy and who stood for rigging the game. They weren't fleeing their job. They were doing the most important part of it. What we're seeing in Texas is a microcosm of the national struggle. It's the fight between a vision of an inclusive, multiracial democracy and a regressive, authoritarian movement that wants to turn back the clock. And honestly, it's a fight we can't afford to lose. Because if they can get away with this in Texas, they will do it everywhere else. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.